So the Greenwood Cemetery rises on the hill behind Daytona State College, north of International Speedway Boulevard at 320 White Street. Starting as a white cemetery with some Civil War burials, they established a separate portion for blacks that is now open to all. Daytona's origin was actually a plantation settled on a Spanish land grant by Samuel Williams around 1800. 3,000 acres of rice, sugar cane, and cotton around the modern-day Beach Street area, City Hall. Turnbull had already started the plantation business in this portion of Florida, down in New Smyrna. That was his plantation, New Smyrna, in the city that bears its name, New Smyrna Beach. And he was down there already in 1768. The burnings of the Second Seminole Wars ended Williams' plantation in Daytona and all the plantations in Florida. War, however, brought a lot of industry to Daytona. The U.S. Naval Air Base Auxiliary, a women's RV training center, an Army convalescent hospital, a boat building yard, Lockheed, and General Electric. There was a lot of work in Daytona for all races. In 1904, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who was born of freed slaves, built a school for the daughters of railroad workers in Black Daytona, Midtown. That and the expanse around it is now the university in her name. Dr. Bethune went on to be placed in various positions by Presidents Coolidge, Roosevelt, and Truman. In 1905, the world's most famous beach moniker took hold when the motorcycle races at the beach took off. In 1946, Jackie Robinson played the first integrated spring training baseball game with the Montreal Royals, a Brooklyn Dodgers affiliated team in Daytona. The current baseball stadium bears his name. Dr. Howard Thurman was born in 1899 in Daytona Beach. His childhood home is a museum piece. He was a theologian. Born and raised in Daytona, became a mentor to Martin Luther King. He was the first deacon of Oberlin Chapel at Howard University. He was a missionary alongside Mahatma Gandhi in 1944 and pastor of the Church of the Fellowship of All People in San Francisco, the first interracial church in the county. He's buried in Atlanta. The area of Midtown Daytona, Black Daytona, is a floodplain. Further insult is that once these people were relegated to the lowest part of town, they were then further relegated to the area between the city dump and the railroad tracks. Both industries, they no less worked primarily. When I lived in Daytona, this part of the city would often flood in heavy rains and stay flooded. Generations of Black folk built and operated so much of Daytona, but it's still the South, and Florida was a Jim Crow Klan haven. I found a total of 4 Black cemeteries in Daytona, which testify to the significance of their contribution and impact, but in no part is the preservation of them any more important than anywhere else in Florida that I've seen. Now, with close to 6,000 burials here, it was too far and too expansive to walk. Though I captured a couple of interesting stones, and I did walk through Babyland, which was a new system to me, relegating all the babies to a specific section instead of burying them with their family. I've now come to learn that that is fairly common in this region of Florida. And let me also pay homage to a couple of significant veterans that I passed by in my walking. Sergeant First Class James Charles Caldwell was born in 1919 and was killed in action at 31 in 1951. He was born in Daytona. He was a member of the Headquarters Company, 3rd Battalion, 8th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. He was killed near Unsan, North Korea, and was listed as missing in action. His remains were identified in 2010 to then be shipped to Daytona and laid next to his wife, Helen, who, after waiting the rest of her life for his return, passed away in 1979. He was awarded the Purple Heart, Combat Infantryman Badge, Korean Service Medal, United Nations Service Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal, along with the Korean Presidential Unit Citation and the Republic of Korean War Service Medal. Louis Caifiero was born in Coney Island in 1926 and passed after a full life in 2012. He served on the Liberty ship Glenn Curtis in World War II and the T-2 tanker Arakari, shuttling to the Normandy beaches, Omaha, Utah Gold, and Sword. As a merchant marine, he also served in Australia, Persian Gulf, and Manus Isle. His Army service included a Korean tour between 1950 and 1953. Also, as transport service, standing second mate aboard the U.S. Constitution from 1963 to 1968. You'll also see a couple beautiful old stones I passed. One is for Alfred Johnson, living from 1802 to 1871. And finally, Dr. George B. Coleman, who died at the young age of 44 in 1883 after serving in the Civil War in medical service. A well cared for cemetery, full of history and love. During my visit, at least 10 cars of families visited their ancestors. I had happened upon this place due to it coming up in my search for Black cemeteries, though this clearly has long expanded beyond that. The veterans I mentioned are white. The original Black portion is not marked in any specific way, as I have come to see it often do in other cemeteries. It's just all together. Though I will say all the visitors were Black families, and they were all over the cemetery. This was just a really quick pass through. I hope you enjoyed it.